Drive on, old fellow. Don't be all day about it." And he went on in these words. "Yes, we went to school in the sea, though you mayn't believe it." "I never said I didn't," interrupted Alice. "You did," said the Mock Turtle. "Hold your tongue," added the Gryphon, before Alice could speak again. The Mock Turtle went on. "We had the best of educations. In fact, we went to school every day." "I've been to a day school, too," said Alice. "You needn't be so proud as that." "With extras?" asked the Mock Turtle anxiously. "Yes," said Alice. "We learned French and music." "And washing?" said the Mock Turtle. "Certainly not," said Alice indignantly. "Aha! Ah, then yours wasn't really a good school," said the Mock Turtle in a great tone of relief. Now at ours they had the end of the bill. French, music, and washing. Extra. "You couldn't have wanted it much," said Alice, "living at the bottom of the sea." "I couldn't afford to learn it," said the Mock Turtle with a sigh. "I only took a regular course." "What was that?" inquired Alice. "Reeling and writhing, of course, to begin with," the Mock Turtle replied, "and then the different branches of arithmetic: ambition, distraction, uglification, and derision." "Never heard of uglification," Alice ventured to say. "What is it?" The Gryphon lifted up both paws in surprise. "What? Never heard of uglifying?" it exclaimed. "You know what to beautify is, I suppose?" "Yes," said Alice doubtfully. "It means to make prettier." "Well, then," the Gryphon went on, "if you don't know what to uglify is, you are a simpleton." Alice did not feel encouraged to ask any more questions about it, so she turned to the Mock Turtle and said, "What else you had to learn?" "Well, there was mystery," the Mock Turtle replied, counting off the subjects on his flappers. "Mystery, ancient and modern, with seaography. Then drawing. Drawing. The drawing master was an old congreel that used to come once a week. He taught us drawing, stretching, and fainting in coils." "What was that like?" said Alice. "Well, I can't show you myself," the Mock Turtle said. "I'm too stiff, and the Gryphon never learnt it." "Hadn't time," said the Gryphon. "I went to the classics master, though. He was an old crab, he." "I never went to him," the Mock Turtle said with a sigh. "He taught laughing and grief, they used to say." "So he did, said Gryphon, sighing in his turn. Both creatures hid their faces in their paws. "And how many hours a day did you do lessons?" said Alice, in a hurry to change the subject. 10 hours the first day," said the Mock Turtle. 9 the second, and so on." "What a curious plan!" exclaimed Alice.
"That's the reason they're called lessons," the Gryphon remarked, "because they lessen from day to day." That's a silly joke. He did lessons, teachings, and then lesson get less, and they're spelled differently, as you can see. This was quite a new idea to Alice, and she thought it over a little before she made her next remark. "Then the 11th day must have been a holiday." "Of course it was," said the Mock Turtle. "How'd you manage on the 12th?" Alice went on eagerly. "That's enough about lessons," the Gryphon interrupted in a very decided tone. "Tell her something about the games now." "All right, I just want to take a second and make a few notes, because the strange land they're in is very much like what we are living with COVID-19 here. And I noticed on one page, so all the players, right, when they were playing the croquet, so all the time they were playing, the queen never left off quarreling with the other players, shouting off with her head, off with her head. So the queen, the boss of the whole thing, is really stressed out. And those who she sentenced were taken into custody by the soldiers, who of course had to leave their arches to do this. So the soldiers are having to do things they don't usually need to do, because, there's extra stress. And this is exactly what it's kind of, not exactly, obviously, but this is the sort of thing that I think workplaces, schools, basically everyday life, people are experiencing. People are having to do things that aren't their jobs. They've never done those jobs before. They're not even in the purview of what would be their jobs. And then they have to do it, and it's so tense and so stressful. But everybody's really stepping up to try to help out and make sure we can get through this quarantine together. So that is this. When I read this, that's kind of the image I got in my head. Like, people are literally bending over backwards to try to make things work, and then like teachers, for example, they bend over backwards to do everything they can for the students, for the families, for the school, and then this whole pandemic comes along, and even though they're bending over backwards, they've got to get up and walk over and do something else. And it's all very stressful. It's all very tense. But this right there was where I wanted to share that piece. And then when the turtle talked about what he learned in school, look, washing. Well, he actually didn't learn it, but washing was extra in school, and I just find this so, I don't even know the word, interesting, I guess, but how could Lewis Carroll forecast that, we're going to have a pandemic and washing is actually going to be taught in school? We're teaching washing everywhere. It's on the news, it's on the radio, it's in the workplace, everybody's talking about washing now, and this is definitely very, pandemic based. So I'm actually going to make a few notes over here. So in school, so hold on, I'm going to say people doing different jobs, right? This is really a theme, and I see that as connecting to COVID, COVID-19 pandemic. So these are connections I've just sort of made with pandemics, not pandemics. Oh my gosh, one is plenty. Too much. Connections. Okay. And I'm just gonna actually probably want to go back and look at that again later, so I will make a note of that page, which was page 69, I think. Yeah, page 69. So I can go back and look at page 69 again if I want to know more about that. Remember at least how I got that. And then the washing, teaching washing in school. Washing. So, teaching in school. It's funny, it's like a bonus subject. But now it's, these days, very required. And then the other thing that I just thought you might find interesting, or if you're a teacher, you can do this. So, this thing I noticed, everything's got a moral if only you can find it. So they talked a lot about morals in this chapter. Talked a lot about kind of what the lesson might be. This would be a great place to, and this is going to be separate from here. One activity that you might do is write a story with a lesson. Okay, or a moral. Alright, the moral of the story is there are some other great books that you can read that have morals to the story. And anyway, I just think this is good. Write a story with a lesson to it. And this could be from your own personal experience. And if you write a story with a lesson from your own personal experience, you know what it's called? I'm going to call it here. This is a personal narrative. Okay, and this is a really important kind of writing for kids as they're learning to write. How to write a personal narrative. Obviously, we're not going to get into that in this video, but I did want to point that out here, that if they want to write a story with a lesson, it's a personal narrative. This is a great chapter to do that on, simply because it's so focused on lessons, if it's focused on anything. But you can also see the COVID-19 connections are pretty strong in this chapter too. So that is the end of, I think, what is it, chapter 9? Yeah, I think. Yeah, that's the end of chapter 9. And so next we're going to do chapter 10.